Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to share a truly amazing trick about bread that almost nobody actually knows, which will make it significantly healthier for you. This is scientifically proven. Freezing bread doesn't just keep it from going bad faster, it can also bring many health benefits. I'm going to explain the whole process, how to do it, and what the benefits are. Stick around until the end, because you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask you if you have the habit of eating bread daily, for breakfast or an afternoon snack. Sometimes we even want to replace lunch and dinner with bread, right? A healthier sandwich. What kind of bread do you use? Do you use fresh bread? Do you freeze your bread? Tell me how you do it. I'd love to see your comment. Of course, traditional bread usually has a lot of nutritional issues, right? That bread you buy, sliced bread, French bread, any kind of white bread made with refined wheat flour, as we already know, and I've talked about this a lot here on the channel, has a higher glycemic index. In other words, the rate at which the carbohydrate is absorbed is higher. It impacts blood sugar more, and it contributes more to weight gain because it's a sugar that breaks down quickly, enters the bloodstream fast, and makes us secrete more insulin, which then leads to more hunger. It's a vicious cycle, not great when it comes to white bread. But I know that many people like to eat white bread in their daily lives and want an option to make it healthier, so I thought I'd bring this tip here to help you out. That's why this tip about freezing bread is so interesting, because when we freeze bread, part of the gelatinized starch that forms during baking, when the bread is baked, will change. Its chemical structure will change. It will contract more and turn into resistant starch. We already know that this resistant starch is absorbed more slowly. So the starch in the bread, the amount of carbohydrates will remain the same and will generally be absorbed in the same way. But the absorption rate will be slower, and because of that, it will have less impact on your blood sugar. This helps with the feeling of satiety and even with blood sugar control. I want to make it clear that this won't turn your bread into low-carb bread, it won't make you absorb fewer carbohydrates, nor will it make it very suitable for people with diabetes or for those with prediabetes who need to control it much more strictly. But for someone who wants to lose weight and live a healthier life, it can help. By the way, I want to remind you that if you live with diabetes and want help with recipes and tips, I have some really great material and I'll leave it down below to help you. Another tip is that after you've put the bread in the freezer, it's best to toast it or put it in the oven, right? Because when you toast the bread, when you expose that frozen bread to high temperatures, the starch molecules reorganize and it actually becomes harder, which makes it even more resistant. So, if you can freeze and then toast or bake the bread, it will be even better for you in that regard. An important tip is actually how to freeze the bread. First, so that it lasts well. And so it's easier for you to use in your daily routine, right? So the tip is to get the freshest bread possible. If you freeze bread that's already been sitting there at the end of the week, I'm not sure it'll be as good after you defrost it. So buy fresh bread as fresh as possible. Preferably slice the bread, or buy it already sliced. Or make the bread yourself. Fresh bread, right? Even better if it's sliced. And then you can organize it afterwards. Why? Because when we freeze sliced bread, it's easier for us to just take the slices we need later without having to defrost the whole thing. So it will always stay frozen, ready to be toasted, just like I explained to you. Ideally, you should also use some kind of container or specific freezer bag so you don't get those ice crystals forming, which give a strange taste or can also affect the sensory quality of the bread afterwards. So, those bags made specifically for freezing or putting it in some kind of tightly sealed container and placing it in the freezer will work better for you. Usually frozen bread keeps well for up to 3 months. So this is also very practical, right? It's much easier in our daily lives to manage our household without having to worry about buying fresh bread every day. There's also this extra detail that's even more interesting from a convenience standpoint. It's worth remembering that this benefit already applies to white bread. It already gives a good result. Now imagine with a high quality bread, a whole wheat bread, a bread made with more nutrients, or with oats, or with lots of seeds, cereals. So the healthier your bread is, the more this freezing technique and toasting it afterwards becomes interesting for you. So if you like whole wheat bread, it's actually even more worthwhile to use this technique on an even higher quality bread. It's also worth noting that this issue of carbohydrate absorption from bread will also be related to what bread you're eating, right? What do you put on bread to eat? You are a person who will put chicken, lettuce, tomato, grated carrot on that bread? Or a person who will put jam, banana, chocolate cream? So, depending on what you add to the bread, you can increase the amount of simple carbohydrates and, it won't do much good to have done this whole process. Or you can optimize even more, making good combinations. It is very important for our health. I even have many videos also talking about how to lose weight, about how to reduce inflammation, and I'll also leave the link for them down here in the description. Tell me, do you usually eat fresh bread or toasted bread? If you already use this tip, or if you're going to start doing it, I'd love to see your comment. What do you eat your bread with? When do you eat it? I'd love to see your comment. Remember to like the video because that shows you enjoy the content and support the channel. And share this video with someone in your family or a friend who needs this tip. Let's spread this chain of good together. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.